Sky Sports coverage of the Premier League, brought to you by EA Sports FC.
The EA Sports FC Team of the Season is here. Each Friday, over the next few weeks, there will be Team of the Season teams released across all major leagues. And we're going to start by talking about the Premier League and the Women's Super League, Joe.
Yeah, today we're going to be revealing the Premier League Team of the Season. We're going to be getting our guest thoughts as we go. And importantly, this is based on Opta stats and some experts' picks. No fan votes this year. Should we go position by position?
Let's do it, yeah.
OK,
Lex, you've got the
up.
magnets.
Let's go.
We'll start with the goalkeeper.
Alisson. Thoughts here? What do we think about Alisson? Happy with that selection?
Yeah, for me, he's best in the world. I mean, and it's actually mad when you think about Ederson as well, that he's... I know, obviously, they're both Brazilian, but the best 1 and 2 in the world, that Ederson's not even in with a shout because Alisson is so good. Obviously, he's been injured a little bit, but no, for me, he's still the best.
Yeah, 74% save ratio in the Premier League this season, best record of any keeper to make 7+ appearances. Unlucky not to the likes of Raya and Vicario, the two teams you support.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, there's no comparison to Alisson. I mean, even with the games he's missed due to injury, he's still got some of the best stats, in the league. So apart from clean sheets, but yeah, incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to goal. Let's move on to the defenders.
Love this. I think he's good. Flex, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Fancy an Anana for that, no?
Nah.
Okay.
You just got
No need for that, was there? That's so unnecessary.
Just got to be the best.
Let's do defenders. Let's see who we've got in the defensive line.
Reveal the defenders.
Oh.
Virgil van Dijk, straight off the back. I have
As
to
the
say,
Arsenal fans call him Benny Blanco.
Benny Blanco.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. He made the team.
as Flex
Love
puts
that.
these up, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Virgil van Dijk, another monstrous
Yeah,
season.
what a player.
You can always expect Virgil to be in there. Even when he's had a few off games, he's still literally one of the best centre-backs in the league. So it goes without saying to see Virgil in there. The team's been competing for the title throughout the season and had a really good game in the Carabao Cup as well.
Yeah.
One of the
win.
best or the best centre-backs
One
in
of the
Premier
best.
League?
I think this season we're seeing
Ever.
a few. Do you mean ever? Or
This season. Oh,
this
I think,
season.
I think
Okay.
this season one of the best because we're seeing a couple of candidates come through that have been very consistent.
Go on, say 'em.
I mean, we know who we're talking about.
You think Gabriel and Saliba have been better than Van Dijk this season?
That was not what I said. I said there's been a couple that's come up.
Who
and
Who has been the best
it's such fine margins between all three of them. I think, for me, Gabriel pips Saliba in terms of centre-back positions. So I think, in comparison, he's the one that can compete for Van Dijk, but I think Van Dijk is still better.
On the fence.
I just said Van Dijk is still better.
I don't mind saying it. Gabriel,
Yeah.
mate. Gabriel, yes.
Oh, thanks.
Wow.
And also, for
love
me,
that.
most improved, which
Yeah.
sounds a bit
Yeah.
weird to say, but I always felt like Gabriel had the odd mistake in him. And going back to last season, it was like Saliba was the one, he was the guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gabriel has stepped up in such a big way this season that for me, I mean, they've definitely been the best centre-back partnership, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
But for me, Gabriel has been the best centre-back for me.
Over Van Dijk, yeah.
Over Van Dijk. But Van Dijk, I mean, he's obviously on the board. He's you know,
been immense.
he's a mainstay in it. And like the Carabao Cup win for me, like that is a leader. That's
totally
like,
agree.
do you know what? I've got kids
That's what
here.
pips it, yeah.
I'm babysitting kids, but I'm going to show you how you win a trophy and when you step up in big. That's a leader.
I think that's half the thing about Van Dijk this season. You think about Gabriel and Saliba, they've had such a settled team around them. Van Dijk's had a different left back, he's had different centre-back partners, different right back. Alisson's only played 50% of the minutes. Kelleher's playing there, different defensive midfielders. Like, he has been the mainstay.
I think that's a good point as well, because obviously you've got Gabriel and Saliba that play as a partnership.
Yeah.
Is it hard almost to have a different partner all the time for Van Dijk, because he's almost doing double the work?
I think that's why, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I'd love to say Gabriel's the better centre-back, but I think what pips it this season is the fact that, like you said, Van Dijk's had to accommodate to different players throughout the season, whereas Saliba and Gabriel have had that consistent partnership throughout the whole season where it makes their job a little bit easier because they know each other in and out for each game.
I think they all deserve to be on there. Any that are unlucky not to be?
Pedro Porro for me.
Yeah.
And not doing that because of the bias, but I think that, look, Ben White's had a great season. He really has. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I think that Porro definitely should be a candidate.
I'd say Udogie over him. I think Udogie has been absolutely
both been great.
Brilliant.
Best left back in the Premier League.
Easily. Yeah. Him and Robinson at Fulham.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic as well. But yeah, I think Ben White deserves a big shout as well, because what Ben White's done this season is incredible. You know, we forget that he's a centre-back by trade. He is now Arsenal's right-back. He's getting assists, he's getting them consistently, he's better in the tackle, he's better in his duels, he's getting goals. Brilliant.
Benny Blanco.
Okay.
Not having the nickname.
And he's so consistent as well. So
Yeah.
You're not having the nickname either, come on.
No,
We're not
I wouldn't go with that. But listen, he's done well for us. He's an Arsenal
But
fan.
why are you not having
Because
that
it's
nickname?
he's just not that
He doesn't
guy.
look- he
He's
doesn't
not
look
Benny
like a Benny.
Blanco.
He's that, you don't know, he's that guy. You need to
not
be
Benny
around. No, he's that guy.
yeah, okay.
He doesn't look like that.
Let's go into the midfield.
Move on,
Let's go into the midfield, shall we?
Right.
Well, Flex is placing them up. Let's start with Rodri.
Of course.
Just the greatest.
Oh.
It's the first name you think of in a team of the season. And I'm very glad that Declan Rice is there because it's one of the summer signings of the season. So I'm glad it's... And look at the ratings on 96. Love that.
Yeah. So we've
Cole
got
Palmer,
there
of course, and of course,
Rodri,
yeah,
Rice,
all of them.
McAllister and Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
Can't
Those are-
argue with that,
Yeah.
category. That's just phenomenal. Rodri, like Pippa said, and I think you said it, Abby, it's just the best. He is, but then this conversation of like, I'll tell you what, what's Declan Rice doing then? Because I'll tell you what, he's one of the best defensive midfielders
Rodri's like the standard.
in the world.
69
Rodri's the one you got to catch.
69 games unbeaten now for
He's
Rodri.
a joke.
Also, 14 goal involvements,
Yeah.
Rodri. 7 goals and 7 assists. It's
69.
he got all the other parts of his
Big
game,
goals
but
as well.
he's
Yeah.
just so complete, isn't he?
Brilliant.
Just the most complete. Honestly, I think I'd probably put him in top 5 maybe ever in Premier League for me
Would you?
personally.
Midfielder or just in Premier League at all?
Midfielders in Premier League. I think he is unbelievable. One of the greatest I've ever seen.
Do you think
He's
he's
a
one of
rider.
the biggest players when he's out of that Man City team where you notice it more than any? Because all of the games that City have dropped points are the ones he hasn't played in.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
incredible, isn't it?
He's too integral.
Yeah, he's integral to how they play. He's amazing.
And we've got to ask you about Declan Rice.
Yeah,
Amazing season.
he's been a joy to watch, and he's been a big character in big moments as well. Like the comeback against Luton with that header and the goal against Manchester United. He's had some really key moments this season, and the fact that he's adapted to the Arsenal midfield so quickly as well. You forget that he's just come this season. So yeah, he's been really, really a good joy to watch.
6 goals, 6 assists as well. His best goal scoring season in the Premier League, Declan Rice.
I think the next two players contenders for the biggest bargains of the season.
Yeah,
McAllister,
literally.
35 million,
Cole
Cole Palmer,
Palmer.
40 million. I mean,
What Cole Palmer's done is a joke, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at a young kid within City's setup, and it's very, very difficult, as you know, to get game time under Pep Guardiola. Like Foden did it in a way where he had to be behind so many great players to wait his time, and this kid Palmer's gone. I'm ready. Like I'm not waiting, and has gone and put Chelsea on his back. He's literally carried Chelsea this season. The amount of goals he's scored, the amount of assists he's got, and the sort of composure of him. I know they call him Cold Palmer, but like it's such a fitting name for him because everything he does is with class. You can tell he's got that City culture, the way he takes the ball, the way he understands the game, the IQ of which he plays the game. He's just a class above. He really is.
Could he be Premier League Player of the Season, do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if he wins the Golden Boot, he should get it.
Yeah, for sure.
He should get
All
it.
agree with that?
Yeah, all agree. I mean, I think for me, personally, I think Rice is my overall player of the season, but you can't... If he gets Golden Boot,
don't.
he's in the conversation.
So the Tottenham fans
No,
say
he's-
Rice is the Player of the Season, and the Arsenal fan says he's not.
No, I'm disagreeing with the fact that Cole Palmer should get Player of the Season. I
Sorry,
mean, he's my top
sorry.
3 candidate.
Yeah.
But for me, it's between Palmer, Foden and Ollie Watkins.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if any of them feature in the forward line, shall we?
Okay.
Because there's going to be some big names in here, guaranteed. Erling Haaland, mixed season, hasn't it?
Yeah, very mixed bag.
season, but
But
he's
the
still
craziest
scored
thing is, it's still a-
so many goals.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. He still had a good season on paper, but it's like to his standards from what he did last season, it's
Yeah.
just not the same. He's dropped to level. So that's why it's a bit like he's not the topic of conversation anymore in that positive limelight. But it's still a good season.
He can
And
still
Man
win the
City
double
still-
and the Golden
Yeah,
Boot.
Literally. There's a lot of players here. Hello.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Hello,
players
everyone.
here. So we've got Haaland, Salah, Foden, Saka, Watkins and Heung-min Son. Just quickly on Ollie Watkins, we talked about Palmer potentially winning
Yeah.
Player of the Season.
Brilliant.
Surely we've got to talk about Ollie Watkins
What
winning
a
Player of the Season. He could
performance.
get, as Palmer, the Golden Boot, and he's got the most
Yeah.
assists, I think,
No
joints
pens.
with any
No
player
penalties.
in Europe.
Yeah.
It's
This
difficult
season.
because usually when the Player of the Season gets chosen, just by default, usually goes to a team that wins the league.
Yeah.
Where I think it's actually really unfair because if you look at the metrics of some of the players of what they have to contend with,
Yeah.
Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa, with all due respect, is probably not expected to win the Premier League.
No.
And they weren't even in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to kind of put him up against Haaland, who would have finished as City's top scorer and they might win the league, or, you know, if
Good point,
Liverpool
that.
did it and it would be Salah, or if Arsenal win their first title in 20 years
Yeah.
and Saka has
Or
been a big
Declan.
part of that, or Declan Rice, then Declan Rice will probably get it. So it is really difficult, but Ollie Watkins this year has been outstanding.
Phenomenal.
Most goals and assists combined in the Premier League this season at the time of recording, of course, but, I mean, phenomenal player. Foden as well, I think we've got to talk about Phil Foden.
Yeah.
I've been saying it
Some of the goals that he scored.
Been saying it for months, he is world-class. The level that he stepped up from last season to this season, you can see the difference, and he is world-class for me. I personally don't think there's a debate on it. For me, again, if City go on and do it, I feel like he's, again, another contender for Player of the Season. Haaland, I just wanted to talk about, because, again, look, he's had a good season, but obviously the standard that he set, it's not as good as last. And what I would say about him is the build-up and his overall game. When you look at someone like Harry Kane, who probably doesn't still get the respect that he should get, Harry Kane is so complete, and I feel like it's so rare to get that in a striker.
Yeah.
And obviously looking at Haaland, I feel like for me, he's not at that level.
He's a numbers player, he's a goals
He's a numbers player, but
yeah.
when I look at an overall forward, I would still personally take Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Salah, for me, I feel like there has been a drop-off. There has been. Still, you know, one of the greats.
Sell him in the summer?
Yeah.
Salah, yeah, I would personally.
Agree.
It's their best chance to. I mean,
Yeah.
with the age that he is, going
Get
into a
good price.
rebuild.
In terms of the money they
Huge
get in,
money
the
comes
finances
in for a
that
player.
come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think if you're Liverpool, you are making a lot of changes, but
Would Liverpool fans agree with you, though?
Probably not,
because
they're not going to listen to me. That's for sure. But then some. You know, he's an icon at Liverpool.
they
He's
love
an
him, don't they?
absolute
Yeah.
legend.
And
He's
like,
done
he can
everything.
turn up whenever. Like, we're just, again, we're talking about by their standards. We're questioning
Yeah.
Haaland, we're questioning Salah. And I'll question Son as well. I'll throw Son in there.
I'm even
because-
questioning Saka towards the end of the
Yeah.
season.
Are you?
He's fallen off a little bit, but the thing is, these players that have fallen off, they're not performing poorly.
No.
No, that's a good
Performing
point.
to their standards.
Standards.
Yeah.
And also, like, they're knackered. Like, Saka, for me, looks knackered.
He hasn't played football
Salah.
the last 2 years
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
And Son, I personally feel like Son, maybe the stat...
he had the Asian Cup as well, didn't he? And
Yeah.
a lot of game, like
It's
you're saying, a lot of game
but
time.
the stats will tell you different and say that he's in contention. For me, I don't feel like maybe as overall as a season it's been Son. It hasn't been.
Still got
Son's
15
best.
goals and 9 assists,
Yeah,
though.
the stats will tell you
Yeah.
different. And I feel like Son this season is obviously playing more down a central role than on the left. We've had to adapt. He's a little bit older. I don't feel like he necessarily has the legs to take on a man as much anymore, but he'll still pop up when defences get a little bit tired as the game goes on. That's when he can shine because he still has that burst of energy. But again, it's just seeing the difference in age. Like Salah and Son are a bit older now.
Should we? Any players that are unlucky not to feature? You think Isak, Bowen,
Solanke?
Yeah, Isak.
Solanke, yeah.
He's been
Solanke, criminally underrated.
Yeah.
unbelievable season. He's
Isak should be in.
But when
the
you're coming up against these names, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to fit in there.
Yeah.
But Isak, I think, maybe have been robbed a little bit.
Okay, there we go. There was confirmation. Enjoyed that. Don't forget the team of the season will be on until the 7th of June. So there is confirmation expertly displayed, I will say, by Flex. So check in-game each week to see the current releases.